We are in the mediums book. We finished somnambulistic mediums. We discussed about somnambulism, and we are going to start on healing mediums, which is a very interesting subject. We go to the spiritist centers and we receive passes, and we hear about healing. We hear about healing mediums, and we hear a lot of stories out there of mediums that this fake mediums that sell their abilities, and we can talk a little bit about it. But let's first try to understand what are healing mediums. Okay, Philip, you continue to do the honors today.
Healing mediums, 175. We shall here only mention the variety of medium because the subject would require a much greater development than our present purposes will allow. Moreover, we have been informed that a doctor friend of ours has proposed to address the subject in a special work on intuitive medicine. We will only say that this kind of mediumship consists mainly in the gift that some people have of healing by simple touch, by a look, or even a gesture, without resorting to any medication whatsoever. This will certainly be regarded simply as magnetism, and it is obvious that the magnetic fluid plays a large role. However, when the phenomena is examined with due care, one may easily recognize the presence of something more. Common magnetism is a bona fide form of treatment requiring methodical and regular sequence. In mediumistic healing, however, matters proceed in an entirely different manner. All magnetizers are able to heal to some degree if they know how to go about it correctly. But among healing mediums, the faculty is spontaneous, and they sometimes possess it without ever having heard of magnetism. The intervention of a hidden power, the characteristic of mediumship, becomes obvious in certain circumstances, especially when we consider that most of the individuals who qualify as healing mediums resort to prayer, and this prayer in itself becomes a true evocation. See number 131.
Okay, so first, some important definitions here, right? The magnetic healing, right? The magnetic healing, magnetism comes from Mesmer. Kardec studied mesmerism or magnetism with Mesmer, and it was a follower before Spiritism. So there are those that have what we call magnetic power, that have the ability to heal using their own resources. So that's magnetism. It's healing done through the energies of one individual itself. A medium or a spiritual healing entails the presence of a spirit assisting the healer, the incarnated being doing the healing. So what is important to understand here is the ability to heal without medication can be done through magnetic or mediumistic or spiritual healing, or, as in most cases, a combination of both. Some people that have more magnetism in the sense of the ability to cure than others will have a more powerful effect on their healing if they combine it to the spiritual assistance that they may receive. but anyone that just is able to serve as an intermediary between the spiritual world and the physical world can help heal an individual in need of healing. And that's why we always say that in order to give passes in a spiritist center, you only need to learn the techniques and the concentration, the connections, that it can all be learned through books or through classes in a spiritist center. Jussara has a book about magnetic and spiritual healing, spirit that talks about passes, the different type of passes, and how to apply passes. So the important concepts here is that there is a combination of the act of the spirits and the magnetism of a pass giver on those that have this ability. A magnetizer that has no understanding or knowledge of the spiritual world, or even acceptance of the interference of the spiritual world in a session of magnetism, can charge for their services because it's their own services and they're using their own energy. So what we talk about not charging spiritism is that you are not going to charge for something that does not belong to you, belongs to the spirits. But a person who is using magnetism is magnetizer. It's using their own magnetism. There can be a spiritual influence there, but they're basically using their own energy according to their understanding. Okay. So can I understand magnetic healing as the ability to control and use your proper energy focus on the purpose of healing? Yes, exactly that. You are using, but we in Spiritism, we understand that the healing, it's never only done by the physical individual. There is always a combination of the spiritual world and the physical world. And then you have the mediums that have the ability to heal, which are special cases also. That you have those spirits like Zé Arigó in Brazil in the 60s that had a very powerful ability to heal, but always using the spiritual world in assistance, and with sometimes with very positive results, and sometimes not. Again, the result depends not only on the healer but also on the patient, right? You may need to continue having your disease if it's a reincarnation trial, karma, expiation, some other thing. So there is no guarantee that you are going to be healed by a healer, because there are many other components involved in the healing. Okay, questions, comments here? Okay, so now we are going to have a series of Q&A from Kardec and the spirits on this subject, okay?
176. The following are responses received from the spirits on the subject. 1. May we regard individuals gifted with magnetic power as forming a variety of mediumship. You should have no questions about that.
So
2.
what is asking, Kardec is asking, those that have magnetic power, they are using a mediumship, of a variety of mediumship, and the answer from the spirits, you should have no question about that, meaning that you always combine the magnetic power that they have with the spiritual assistance of the spirits, the spiritual healing of the spirits. I have another question here from Eric. How can we understand placebo healing? Well, the fact that you are taking a placebo means that you are not taking any physical medicine that is going to help cure your disease. But there is much more than the medicine in the process of cure. There is the merit of the spirit in being, and the incarnated being cured, plus the activity of the spiritual world in the process of healing. So if you take a placebo, but you firmly believe that that placebo is going to heal you, and you have the merit, and the spirits assist you, providing the spiritual healing that you need, the placebo may cure you. But it was not a placebo. The medicine itself was the mental power plus the spirits helping you. Okay.
Number 2. So mediums are intermediaries between spirits and humans, while magnetizers who draw upon their own forces do not appear to serve as intermediaries for any foreign power. That is an erroneous idea. The magnetic force belongs to the individuals, but is augmented with the help of the spirits to whom they appeal for it. For example, if you use magnetism to heal and you evoke a good spirit who takes an interest in both you and the sick person, it augments your own forces and willpower by directing your fluids and giving them the necessary qualities.
Okay, so here is when the spirits explain the difference between the mediums and the magnetizer, and but more over the combination of the forces, right? Because the magnetism belongs to the individuals, but it can be assisted by the spirits if they appeal for it, and the spirits that take an interest in the sick person, or in you and the sick person, will provide the fluids and the necessary needs that the person who is going through the disease, if they deserve to be cured, or they merit, or there's some reason for it to be cured, or the time has come for it to be cured. Have a question, Donnie?
So in this case here, I missed a little bit of the beginning. The person who charges for that, who does magnetic healing, but in the case here, because I know the question number 3 goes to people who don't believe in spirits that might be helping, but the ones who are conscious or are sensitive to the fact that they're being helped by spirits, is that okay to charge for their services? Because they're using, like, there are several therapies that can be, I don't think they use the terminology magnetizing, but there are several therapies that people apply.
Like Reiki.
To Reiki is one of those. Yeah. I think it's the most common.
Again, the spirits advise us not to charge on things that come from the spirits, right? That we are just intermediaries. When we are doing our own work, there is nothing wrong in charging for our own work. So again, interpretation is on each one of us, and the intention is what prevails in the end. So someone that works with Reiki, or works with this other alternative medicine, the spirits can always be assisting them. But they are doing their own work, they do the study, they do the courses. So theoretically, like psychics that use psychic abilities, theoretically also they could charge, right? But because they are using their own abilities, their own resources. But the complication is that it's a slippery slope, right? Because when you are charging for fair work or when you are taking advantage of credulous people or things like that. So it's not a simple answer, but the theory is that you charge for things that it's your own work, and you don't charge for things that comes from the spirits. But you take Chico Xavier, and he never charged for anything, and I'm sure he had psychic abilities, magnetic abilities, and but you decide not to charge for anything and say that everything becomes from the spirit. That is the true charity, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, there are people who go to school for years to study. So
yes,
as you said, they're taking classes, they're learning, and then their purpose is to help healing or help others through healing. So they make that their profession, their career. Mm-hmm. But the question number 2 says that it's sort of like unavoidable having, because the question 3 goes to that a little bit, like I'm anticipating a little bit, but the spirits are there no matter what. Like,
yeah, spirits are always present.
Even if you're not aware.
But right? Again, it's the same thing, right? When you write a book, right? You write your own book. We know in spiritism that not 100% of what you wrote is yours. There is a part there is inspiration that comes from the spirits. But again, it's your work, it's your book, so you are right. You have the right to charge. The same thing, people that went to college and studied 3 years of a course on how to do something, they have the right to charge. Yes, of course, they put time, effort, money on it. They have the right to charge. The issue is, and you know what the issue is, right? It's those that haven't done anything and start charging because they received a gift, right? And they are charging for their mediumship. That's the problem, right? And they start charging for things that they make very little or no effort in acquiring. And that clearly comes from the spirits.
So I know it can be a little bit tricky to mention João de Deus, but would be João de Deus an example of a person who didn't go to school or maybe didn't have the intention of making his magnetic powers to make out of his profession, what I mean, but in the end he was taking advantage of this gift he had, or it's too extreme? Because it's very messy, his story. So
yeah, it's what we can talk about him is, first, he used his mediumistic abilities to his own advantage, right? He became a millionaire. He didn't officially never charge for anything, but everything around in the place was charged and everything went to him. Besides that, he abused, because we know that mediums of physical effects and healing mediums are mediums of physical effects, need to replenish this energy because it consumes a lot of energy from them. And this replenish comes through food, alcohol, or sex, normally, right? If they cannot replenish like more evolved spirits will do through breathing the air, like Chico Xavier would do, right? So he abused the abilities that he has. They made an industry out of it. So everything that is wrong of using mediumship is what John of God did on his work. But he healed people. Why would he heal people? Because those that truly believe that they will be healed, when they're with a desire to search for healing and deserve to be healed, they are assisted by the spirits that will use him as an instrument to heal those that deserve to be healed. What is his merit? Very little. The merit is the person that is healed because they it was their time to be healed. And you know, the energy there, all the work that they did there. I never been there, but Jusara went there and saw the work that was being done there. There are a lot of people with good intentions working around him, a lot of people that believed in the work. So when you put together a lot of people to do a spiritual work that they believe, the spiritual side of it will protect those that deserve to be protected, and will separate the good from the bad in the work.
So that the scandal that what a huge scandal involving several things related to his work. So the sexual abuse he committed was then related to replenishing energy.
Yeah, is the use of his mediumship. Yeah, but it's not a conscious thing. It's,
no.
Yeah, it's not a conscious thing. If you don't know of it, you just have these impulses, right? You know, Eusapia Palladino, the famous medium, the Italian medium that was probed and poked in all ways and used by all the experimenters of mediumship in the end of the 19th century, beginning of 20th century. She became an alcoholic because she used alcohol to replenish, and also she was a sex addict, because that's the way she used to replenish it's not a conscious thing. It's you need those energies. These are energies that come from Earth. They're not spiritual energies. It's energies that come from the lower chakra, right? You replenish through your lower chakra, which we know which chakra is it is, right? So, but again, it's also not inevitable. You can and should be able to replenish using other ways, and healthy ways. There are healthy ways of replenish. But if you don't know, you end up doing it in those more challenging ways, let's say.
And that also apply to magnetizers, or more to mediums who are like his case. He was directly working as a medium for healing, or magnetizers, for example, who could be using Reiki or other therapies, also need that replenishment.
They need the replenishment also because they are using their own energies. But I don't think it's the same as a healing medium. The energies used by healing mediums or mediums of physical effects is much more intense than the energies used by a magnetizer, as I understand, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay. Next one, Philip.
Number 3, nevertheless, there are excellent magnetizers who do not believe in spirits. So do you think that spirits only act upon those who believe in them? Those who magnetize for good purposes are aided by good spirits. All those with moral aspirations call to them without realizing it, in the same way that through the desire for evil and bad intentions, others call to evil ones.
Well, here is the basics, right, of spiritism. We are surrounded by spirits. It doesn't matter if we believe or not. We are surrounded by spirits, and spirits are influencing our lives at all times, on a daily basis. So the fact that we don't believe in them doesn't mean that they are not going to assist us if we are doing good. If we have good intentions and we're trying to do good to others, we will be assisted by spirits. So the magnetizers do not believe in spirits. Doesn't mean that they don't receive the assistance. They will receive the assistance of good spirits if it's in the best interest of the magnetizer or the person who's being healed, right? So it really doesn't make much. Of course, by believing and elevating your thoughts through prayer, you become more open to the spiritual influences and the availability of the spirits to help you. But but the fact that you don't believe does not prevent the spirits from assisting. Okay.
Number 4, would magnetizers who believe in the intervention of spirits act more effectively? They could do things that would be regarded as miracles.
Okay, so here they talk about the powerful association between a magnetizer and a spiritual influence that could heal people, and this healing would be called miracles, and miracles is just our lack of understanding of the natural law of things that we don't know how to explain. We call miracles, but because there is no derogation of the natural law, there cannot be miracles. Okay, again, we use miracles many times, and there is nothing wrong in using the word miracles when it's convenient, and it's it's a word that we use to impress. But in the true sense, as we study in Spiritism, miracles do not exist, because the natural law, the divine law, is perfect, and a miracle would be a derogation of the divine law, and that would mean that the divine law is not perfect. So the cures that are regarded as miracles are just cures that are possible through means that we don't yet fully understand. Yes.
Is this, I don't know if it was already said, this kind of healing that is more physical can also be considered a trial or an expiation or an opportunity for learning, like the ones who come with mediumship, like ostensive mediumship or healing through mediumship, or is more like a physical thing? It doesn't have to do much with past lives or catching up.
It can be anything, Danny, because even if you are going through an expiation, a disease that is a consequence of a previous existence, it doesn't mean that the disease has to last your whole life, physical life, right? It can be cured at a certain point. You already fulfilled your need of going through the struggles of that disease. So it's time for you to be cured. So you will be cured, even if it's a karmic disease. The karmic doesn't mean that it has to last your whole life. It just means that you have to have for karmic reasons, but it can be healed, or during this life, or not. So if you find those instruments, that the mediums or the magnetizers that help us get cured, that's fine. That's your merit. For some reason, you have the merit of being cured, and they are just the instruments.
But on the side of the healer, in both cases, it could be also like magnetizers, like healers that use more the physical energy, and comparing to the medium healers, which uses the spirits more consciously. So in those two cases, so you said that the side of the person who is being treated, but from the healer's perspective, in these two cases is also related to past lives, like because it can be challenging, like mediumship like that can be more challenging than just going to school and learning about Reiki, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. Again, depends on your incarnation plan, right? What you need/want to go through in this incarnation. You may want to come as a medium of healing because of different reasons. You may want to come as a magnetizer with these abilities, and how you use these abilities is what is going to make a difference for your evolutionary path, right? But you may come as a healer without having any without it being an atonement. Just you want to help people through that, through the means of healing.
Yeah, that was my point. So it's not necessarily like an atonement. It might just come with the intention of helping.
Yeah, like a medium also can come without an atonement, right? We know that mediums generally are the ones heavily in debt, but it can be a medium without anything to atone. Yes, Carol.
Yeah, and also another category we could probably add are those that have had near-death experiences that come back with remarkable abilities, generally healing abilities. It's not each and every case, but I've heard many situations like that. So again, maybe that's a challenge, but again, it's you know, another part of our study, another person having a gift coming unexpectedly, perhaps.
Yeah, you know, these cases of near-death experience, of course, there are millions of different reasons. For each person has its own reason for going through it, right? There are those that will go through it to serve as an example and teach them or teach those around them. There are those that go through the experience just for themselves because they have to go through. They deny the spiritual life, and they, you know, it's a calling their attention of the reality of the spiritual life, and many other reasons. It could even be an accident, right? Because not everything is. You have to go through experiences. Maybe you have an accident that is really an accident, and you go through that experience because it will help you in some way. Right?
Thank you.
Next, Philip.
Number 5, do some individuals actually have the gift of being able to heal by simple touch without employing magnetic passes? Certainly. Haven't you seen several examples?
Next.
Do such cases involve magnetic action or only the influence of spirits? Both. Such individuals are bona fide mediums since they act under the influence of spirits, but that does not mean they are what you understand to be healing mediums, for example.
Okay, so it's interesting here that it's the first time you find the word passes in Kardec's work, right? And I went to the original in France to see if they were using the word passes also, and the original says pass magnetic, and so it's the word passes. And I remember when we were when Jusara was trying to translate for her book the word passes, that didn't exist in that sense that we use in Spiritism. That, you know, they were using laying on hands or spiritual healing, and then I remember someone told her, listen, you guys are bringing the spiritism here, so you if you say the word is passes, we will all use the word passes. You decided. So that's when we started, and she started using the word passes, right? That existed in French and Portuguese. Here on the definition is passes as a fluidic magnetic procedure whose main objective is to aid in the recovery of a patient's organic balance, right? That's from O Passe Espírita, the spirited pass from Luis Carlos Gurgel and the Brazilian Spiritist Federation. So when we see here, the question is, do some individuals actually have the gift of being able to heal by just touching without employing the passes? And we know that that happens. We see examples of people that touch, and even Jesus cured by touching, right? Or people even were cured by touching him. The energy that Jesus had around him was enough to cure those that truly believed that they could be cured. And but those individuals that can heal through touch can also have the influence of the spirits, right? They are mediums and they act under the influence of spirits, but they also have the magnetic ability. So they are, that's where they say that doesn't mean that what you understand by to be healing mediums, because these are individuals that have a special power of healing through touch, right? Which is a different type of healing. But in the end, it's more of the same in different forms, right? In the end. Okay. Yes, Danny.
People who have that ability but knows about that, but doesn't have any intention of using it to heal or to help others, is that okay, or it's not a good thing?
It's the same thing as if you are a medium and you don't use your mediumship, right? You can use your mediumship in different ways. That doesn't need necessarily to be working a mediumship meeting. You can use your mediumship to help others through different forms. So this healing of a specific healing can be used in different forms. These individuals can heal through words. Maybe a psychologist has this power and heals with their words. So, if you have this ability, you are going to either want to use it or to understand better, or to be curious to understand better or how to use it, or you're going to naturally use it without knowing that you are using it by your actions on your deeds. Okay.
Number 7.
Okay. Yeah.
Is this power transmittable? Not the power itself, but rather the understanding of what is needed to exert it when one possesses it. There are those who would not even suspect they had this power if they did not think that it had been transmitted to them. Okay,
so is mediumship hereditary? That's the question that some people ask sometimes. No, but it happens in families, yes. And that's the reason is because once you have a medium in the family, it's easier for other mediums in the family come to understand what is going on with them. So it's not that it's hereditary, it's just that it's more understandable if you have it in the family. And the same thing with the healing. Someone that has the understanding and the ability to heal, those around them can learn and discover their own abilities of healing without being transmitted. It's just the knowledge of knowing that you can do it. So they say here, you cannot really transmit the power of healing to other people, but you can make other people aware of the possibility and allow them to discover their own abilities. Okay.
Number 8, can healing be effected through prayer alone? Yes, sometimes God allows this. However, it is sometimes for a sick person's own good to continue to suffer, and they then think their prayers have not been heard.
Okay, let's bring it to the 21st century language here, right? Not that God allows or not. we know that prayer can help us heal. How does it work? By elevating our thoughts, by connecting with the superior spirits, and by receiving their healing and their assistance without any intermediaries. So, can the healing happen through prayer? Yes. Now, why sometimes people that fervently pray and really believe that they are going to be healed continue to have to suffer and think that their prayers have not been heard? Because there are sometimes we have to go through the experiences that are important for our spiritual growth, and again, as we said, that we don't know when the time has come to end our expiation, and sometimes we still have to go through it. We still have to finish the job, so to say. So the prayers should, in those cases, help us find resignation and acceptance, but it's not going to heal. And what happens is that the opposite happens. People stop praying because they think that prayers are not helping. And prayers always help. They may not result in what we are expecting, but they are always helping us. Okay.
Number
Now,
9.
yes, the type of prayer, let's see.
Are certain prayer formulas more effective than others for healing? Only superstition can attribute virtue to certain words, and only ignorant or deceitful spirits could entertain such an idea by prescribing formulas. However, for persons who are little enlightened and incapable of understanding purely spiritual matters, the use of a formula might contribute to deepening their confidence. In such a case, it is not the formula that is effective, but rather the faith that has been augmented by the belief attached to the use of the formula.
Again, this is a very important concept, and it's so well explained here, right? So, prayer formula. Let's think about a candle, right? If I light a candle and I pray with a candle lighted, my prayers will be more effective. True or false? False. Now, can a candle be effective if by lighting a candle my belief and my faith is going to get stronger? Yes, the candle can help. The problem, and it was what we always say, the problem is that you don't have a candle, you don't know how to pray. That's when you attach your prayers to material things or to memorized words or things like that. If I don't know how all the words of the Our Father prayer, I won't be receiving the assistance. If you believe in that, you are blocking the assistance. But the reality is that the prayer is a connection between us and the superior spirits, the protecting spirits. And it comes from our heart to them. Words are not necessary. Formulas are not necessary. And material objects or places are not necessary. But can they be used to be more effective for those that that still have the need and the belief that that's the only way that they're going to achieve the result? Yes, it can help them. Okay? We finished here with healing mediums. Any questions remaining on that subject? Okay, pneumatographical mediums.
Number one.
One sec, Philip. Danny.
Sure.
So these formulas could be also, let me just lower my hand. These formulas could also be, for example, religions that have to kneel down.
Yes.
I don't know how many times a day on a specific carpet facing east. So this would be also the same. So if the person could do that the whole life, but what matters is the faith. It's the connection.
Yeah. These are all rituals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need rituals. That's the reality. We don't need rituals. Now, can rituals help us? Yes. Many people need rituals to do it in a proper way, right? If you don't follow the rituals, you are not able to do it. But while you are sincerely doing your prayers from the heart to the connect. So yes, the rituals will help you, will assist you, and you receive what you merit, not what you want, but what you need, right? But as we evolve, we are going to move away from rituals more and more. But still, all the religions have rituals, and they are important to them. And because they are important to them, as long as those that are following the rituals are following them sincerely and opening their hearts, it's going to work for them. Those that are doing the rituals just because they are told that they have to pray 5 times a day, facing the north or the south, and they do, like I used to do the prayers when I was a kid, just reciting memorized words without paying attention, thinking about other things. It's completely ineffective, right? But it's still, we at our stage of evolution, we need the rituals, right? Many of us need the rituals, so that's fine.
There is I think it's in the chapters we read yesterday, I think 14th from the And Life Goes On, that there are a few key people, right, who are in charge of the services or managing the hospital where they are or guiding the characters. And it says, there's a very, very short sentence. It says, he was saying, it escaped my head, routine or commitment. How do you say that? It escaped the vocabulary. When you do something that you're committed to, like every day, or discipline.
Yeah,
discipline is freedom, because they are talking about, they meet a group, they go to the area outside of where they are, that they have like the spirits that in darkness, they are suffering and they're angry, and those people tell the people from where they're from, the city where they're coming from, they call the relief caravans, who travel to give help and then come back, and they are attacked by this group of people who are saying like, you are dumb, you are a slave to this work, be free, be like us, we are free, we can do whatever we want. And then he's explaining to the main character, like, discipline is actually freedom, is the opposite what they think it is. So in this case here, maybe the formulas are necessary for us to understand discipline. Once we learn, we get to the point that we have this discipline, we don't need them anymore. But to get to that point, you have to do over and over, maybe 5 times a day, or light a candle, So
yeah, you can imagine when we evolve, right? When your whole day is a prayer, because you are constantly connected to the more evolved spirits because of your moral evolution, you don't need to pray, right? You are living in a prayer, right? Now we still need to stop what we're doing to pray. We still never have to think. We have to pray. I have to pray. When you are more evolved, you don't need to pray. You are constantly in prayer. It's part of who you are, right? But we're not there yet. And if to get there, we need to stop 5 times a day, or we need to go to a church or a synagogue, or that's how we can focus our attention on the connection with the spiritual world. So be it. That's better than not doing it, right?
Yeah, I think the same cannot be applied in education. Like, there are several concepts that, there's this battle of what's the best way to learn, right? The best environment, with strict discipline or freedom, like freedom in the way that discipline is not the main point during the process of learning. So, it's maybe we are not ready yet not to have certain disciplines and formulas until we get free enough to have that in us already, right? You don't need the teacher to tell you to sit down and be quiet. You sit down and be quiet because you need that for learning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Carol.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to be said, however, about the unity or the unification of people praying. I mean, I know it's 5 times a day or whatever, but that means that there's a connectivity, there's a connection, and not that maybe everybody is consciously thinking of that, but indeed, that's a very powerful energy that is being created, connected, and committed. So, I mean, it does have a plus side, I think.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. The more people.
Yeah, it's helpful. And I had a very interesting experience in Mexico City. I wasn't like looking around that much at churches or Catholic churches, but I did have an amazing experience in Mexico City, attending many of the Catholic cathedrals there. And honestly, the unification, the energy when you walk in, you are engulfed in love of the Hyatt. Honestly, it's rather profound, and it sort of shook me up because I wasn't looking for that. I wasn't interested in that, but it caught me by surprise, and I have a different respect, for these quote unquote institutions. So anyway, that was just my experience here. I don't know, not quite the same, but
Yeah, but I agree with you.
it was
There are
powerful,
very powerful
very
groups
powerful.
that
I was shocked.
Yeah, for instance, the group that Marisol takes part in North, their prayers are the mothers, as they call, the prayers are very effective because it's a union of thoughts and a union of elevated sentiments, right? So when you have that, you really multiply. The problem is that many of the religious institutions that you go, the majority of people are there just for social obligation or obligations that they think they have with the church or so that's not really very effective. And one of the books of André Luiz, the mentor said, if you want to go to a mass that is a very effective mass, you go to the very early morning, because the ones that are there at 6 a.m. and 6 a.m. mass really want to be there. The ones that don't, they want to go for social obligation, go at 11 or 12, right? So, and actually, that's the reality, right?
Indeed. Thank you.
Okay, so let's go over this because it's a small part, and so I don't leave for Elmo for next week. This pneumatographical mediums. There are mediums that are able to produce direct writing.
Number 177. This designation applies to mediums who have an aptitude for obtaining direct writing, a gift that is not given to all writing mediums. This faculty has remained quite rare. It can probably be developed through practice, but as we have stated, its practical usefulness is limited to It's being obvious proof of the intervention of a concealed power in the manifestations. Only experience can tell if someone possesses it. Thus, one may experiment with it just as one may inquire of a protector spirit through other forms of communication. Depending on the greater or lesser power of the medium, simple traces, symbols, letters, words, sentences, and even entire pages may be obtained. All that is usually required is to place a sheet of folded paper somewhere or in a place designated by the spirit for 10 or 15 minutes or a bit longer. Prayer and meditation are essential. Thus, we consider it impossible for it to work in non-serious meetings or where persons are not animated with sentiments of affinity and benevolence. See the explanation of Direct Writing, Chapter 8, Laboratory of the Invisible World, numbers 127, and Chapter 12, Pneumatography. We will address writing mediums in particular in the chapters that follow.
Okay, so this phenomena, direct writing, first, is a mediumship of physical effects, okay? It's not intelligent effect, it's a physical effect, because for you to put a piece of paper inside a drawer and then take it out of the drawer 10 or 15 minutes later and the paper has a message written on it, it's, you know, the medium is using its physical effects ability to produce that that kind of phenomena. Again, as Kardec says here, is quite rare and continues to be rare. We barely see any manifestation of those mediumistic manifestations. He talks about being possible to develop through practice, but again, if we need to find out which medium is able to do that, which medium that we have, and the medium has to have an ostensive mediumship of physical effects for it to produce pages. And what's the usefulness of this type of mediumship besides, like all mediumship of physical effects? It has the ability to prove to us that it exists, mediumship exists, and that mediumship, that the other side exists. But besides that, you know, the psychography, which is the medium producing the message, is much more simpler and effective way of transmitting the message. We don't really need to keep impressing those non-believers. They will continue to be non-believers more likely. So there's not much to say about this direct writing. We talked a little bit about it with Elmo, and Kardec is going to discuss writing mediums later, but you know, it's just for us to know that it's a form of mediumship that exists. It's just direct writing in the sense that it appears in a piece of paper without any direct writing from a person, and you don't even need a pen or pencil, and they will grab ink from somewhere and bring it and print it on the paper. Okay. Yes, Carol.
Yeah, I had a pretty nice experience of seeing that in action. It was actually a medium, a physical effect medium, where two slates were sandwiched together, wrapped around. And, you know, we waited, we meditated, you know, probably you were right, about 10 minutes. And lo and behold, after 10 minutes, the two slates were unwrapped, and there on each side of the slate was writing. One was forward writing and one was backwards writing. And, you know, it was rather impressive.
Quite interesting. Wow.
Very,
Yeah.
very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I never seen anything like that.
Yeah. But it also, the it was like a home environment, but it was an environment that had been set up with a very extensive shrine, and there were meditators there a lot. The owner of the apartment was also a very strong meditator and a practitioner. So indeed, the energy was quite elevated. So that was helpful, I'm sure. So it was interesting. It was very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. And you mentioned a point here that I forgot to mention at the end, right? That prayer and meditation are essential. It's impossible for it to work in a serious meeting. And that's very important also. Thanks, Carol, for reminding us that. Okay, I think that's it, right? So that then next week, Elmo starts with writing your psychographic mediums, which is medium of intelligent effect, right? Carol, we do our final prayer.
Sure. Infinite Creator, Supreme Intelligence, those good spirits who are with us this evening, so that we can study and continue to study the mediums book, topics that we are studying, healing mediums. We are grateful to be together to share this experience, to continue to pursue in depth this study with more details each week. We are grateful for the spiritual benefactors, the good spirits, the helpers, the healers who are with us, pointing the way, helping us to be more elevated in our thoughts and in our mindfulness. We are grateful for what we have received this evening and grateful that we continue to receive through the auspices of Zoom, through connectivity, and through our connection as individuals, as spiritists. We are grateful for what we have received, and we humbly ask for this to continue. We ask for the blessings of Christ, the love and light and peace to be with us, to go forward in safety and protection as we return to family, friends, loved ones, and coworkers. We are grateful for all the blessings we have received mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. We are grateful for the lessons learned and for the codification of Spiritism through Allan Kardec. May we close now and humbly ask to be continuing to be of assistance, to be of service, and to have greater compassion. Go forth now in peace. Go forth now as beacons of light. So be it.